The MBTI has been around for a very long time. There's a lot of research that's been done on it over the years. There are a number of different versions of the MBTI. Each time a revision is done, we get a newer, better version. The critics often look at the literature that's available on the older versions and don't bother to look at the research on the newer versions. All of the MBTI information is available in technical supplements and in manuals. In terms of the measurement properties, validity evidence, and things like that, I really wish the critics would actually read those before they start making their criticisms. So often critics will complain about the MBTI when they use it for something that it wasn't intended to do, and selection is a great example of that. The MBTI clearly states that you're not supposed to use it for selection. The test-retest agreement rate is about 80 to 90%, meaning you get the same result on a second administration as you would have gotten on the first administration. What does that mean in terms of 80 to 90% retest rate? Well, the highest it could be is 100, and so we're at 80 to 90%. If you look at competing or other instruments, they're in that same range or lower. So we actually have a very good test-retest rate for the individual preferences. The items that we use to measure the MBTI are dichotomous items, is because we're trying to measure a dichotomy. What's important when we're looking at the measurement of the preferences is that we're able to put people clearly into one or the other categories. Other tests that are looking at things that are more continua-based also use dichotomous items. It is not a function of the items and the type of items that are used that determines what you're measuring. It's the theory. And so you have to match the theory behind the concepts that you're measuring to the measurement that you're using and make sure that they are at least consistent. And by using the dichotomous items, it's more clear to people who are not necessarily statisticians that the approach we're using is in alignment with the idea that there are categories and preferences behind the theory. People describe their first experience with the MBTI as having this aha moment where they go, now I understand why, and you can fill in the blank, why I don't get along with my boss, or why my kids are driving me crazy, or why my wife is making me nuts. And I think it's, again, people are not always necessarily aware of how they go about thinking about things, making decisions, and interacting with their world. And a lot of people just assume that everyone should be like them. And thank God, it turns out not everybody is just like us. And there are people who have different preferences out there who behave differently and make the world a much more interesting place. And what the MBTI does, it provides you with some insight about this is how you choose to do things, this is how they choose to do things, and then provides you with guidance about how you can work together to make the most of those differences versus just trying to push them away or push them aside.